Planning your trip doesn't have to be a strenuous endeavor. Whether it's a vacation, a business trip, or anything in between, the planning stage should actually be the fun part because it determines how successful your trip is going to be. Welcome back to Terniqo, and today we'll be reviewing our ultimate powerful travel planner. And this tool has 8 tabs, as you can see at the bottom here. And as usual, we'll begin with the first one, which is the overview tab that we are on. So this overview tab is where we get to enter our basic trip information at a holistic level, even before we can get to the minute details. And we start off by entering our destination, and we can enter this in 2 formats, either by first entering the country name alone, and the country will highlight on our geomap on the far right hand side, as it has done here, or the city name and the country name. And again, you'll notice that it highlights on our geomap. Now you can enter up to 4 destinations for the same trip, and all these are going to highlight on our geomap here. Next, we have the dates of our trip, and first we have the start date. When is our trip starting? So let's give it a date, and you will notice that this first calendar grid appears and updates with the dates of the month of this start date. And once we enter an end date and it falls on a different month, you will notice that now the second calendar grid appears and updates with the dates of the month of the end date, and the days that have been selected precisely will highlight in this light blue color. Okay, so for the sake of this demonstration, we're just going to keep it short and simple. So because our trip starts from the 8th to the 10th of the same month, which is February, only the first grid will appear, and those days are going to highlight. The second grid stays empty. Now, you will notice that the days and the nights have already been auto-calculated for us once we entered the start and the end date. So we'll move on to entering a budget for our trip. Let's give it a figure like 10,000. The costs will stay empty for now, okay, but the balance will reflect the same as the budget because the costs reads as 0. The cost will only auto update once we update these other tabs down here, so we'll come back to that later. For now, we are going to give our trip a name. Let's call it Miami Vacation. We can also give it a brief description, which can also be a description of the city that we've entered as a title. Okay, so assuming that is the description, that's where it will appear. And for this image up here, it can easily be inserted using this insert option up here, image, then insert image over cells, then you can crop it into a landscape format just like this and put it at the top there. Now this grid down here is where you can input any emergency or important contacts that you will need for your trip. This can be things like police contacts or nearest hospital contacts, just for easy access. And next we have a to-do grid here. Now this is where you enter everything that's crucial for you to do before you can actually embark on your trip. So if you need to book flights, if you'll need to renew your passport, probably you will need to book your accommodation. And you'll notice as we enter each and every item, a checkbox appears to the left hand side. Okay, automatically just enter something and a checkbox appears by itself. Now if we go ahead and tick these checkboxes, you will notice that a progress bar appears and a percentage of completion beneath it, and as we continue to tick each of them, it will continue to update. Okay, and once everything is ticked, showing that you've done everything you needed to do, the progress bar is now full and the percentage of completion turns green. So we are a go for our trip. Now for the packing list, these are things that you will need to remember to pack. Okay, so in case you tend to forget your toothbrush or your charger, probably your favorite towel, same concept. Once we enter anything, a checkbox appears to the left, and once we tick this, you will notice that a progress bar at the bottom and a percentage of completion, similarly to the previous to-do grid update. by themselves. And once we hit 100, it turns green and the progress bar is full. Now, down here we do have a chart that will auto update again once we are done updating all these, and we'll come back to this tab later. But as for now, that's how the overview tab works. So we'll move on to the next tab, which is the flights tab. So this flights tab is pretty simple to use. Once you've researched your flight and booked your flight, this is where you come in to input your flight information, starting from things like the trip, where from and where to, the air carrier, which is the airline that you're using, things like the flight number, all that information. There's an extra other tab here that you can use for and title as anything extra that you feel is important to you. And finally, we can input our cost on the farthest right column. So as an example of what this will look like once you update, you can just unhide the remaining rows and you will see an example. As you can see, the trip, this is from this to this. The carrier is Delta Airlines. We have the flight number, all that information until the cost. Now, once you've entered the cost of one flight, let's say it's 350, and maybe for some reason you were using two flights, okay? Maybe different flights for the departure and the return. It was not a round trip. So you'll notice that the total updates down here, okay? And not only that, when we go to the overview tab, now you will notice that there's a cost here of 750, okay? And the balance has reduced by that 750. Now we are at 9,250. And for this cost breakdown chart here, as you can see, we have flights that has auto updated by itself, okay? So that's simply how this flight tab works, and once you do not need to see that anymore, you can just simply hide it, and what remains is the information that you're currently using. So next we'll move to the travelers information tab. So this travelers tab is where we enter the information of the people who will be traveling. And for example, you have the first person as Brian, last name Smith, and the second person is John Smith. Now, if these people that you enter, okay, in these two columns for the first and last name belong to the same group, for example, Smith family, you can enter the group name there, and once you click on the drop down in this group column, the option will appear there. And in case there is multiple groups, okay, that's the second group, you will notice that the drop down automatically picks that group name. So for each group name you enter here, you can assign to the individuals whose information you'll be entering. Now for the type, is this person an adult, a child, or a pet? You can just select this here for proper categorization. Now we'll need to enter their dates of birth, and you'll notice that once we enter a date of birth, the age of that person at the time they'll be traveling will be auto updated, okay, in the next column. Okay, so for the second person, let's just do a date of birth. You see it at auto update. So you can do that for each traveler whose information you're inputting on this sheet. So next you'll have to enter the travel information, which includes the frequent flyer number and the airline number. You'll need to update the passport information, including the issue date and the expiration date if necessary, visa information, and there's an additional section here that you can title as anything and use it to basically update any kind of information for the travelers who you've entered here. So that's how the travelers tab works. Now we'll move on to the accommodation tab. So this accommodation tab is where you will enter information on the hotels where the travelers will be staying at. And we start off by entering this IA column here. IA means image address, and anytime you need to insert the image of the hotel, the image address is what you will enter here, and the image will automatically appear in the next column. So for example, since our example was Miami vacation, sorry, we might look for Miami hotels. Okay, an image of probably Miami hotels. Let's just use this one here from booking.com. Now you'll need to right click, and what you'll need to copy is the image address, the IA. Okay, do not copy the link address or anything else. So just take the image address and put it in whatever row you'll be adding the hotel at, and once you just paste it there, the image will automatically appear in the next column. As you can see, you can just resize it by pulling down, this line, the bottom line of that row, till the image fits in just like that. You can go ahead and enter the hotel name. For example, you see this is Fontainebleau, so we can enter the name Fontainebleau there, and the ratings, the location, basically all the hotel details of that hotel. Okay, but as for now, the most important for us to add is a check-in date. Now, we had entered our start date as the 8th, okay, and the end date as the 10th of February, but this may differ, okay. It's not mandatory for the check-in date to correspond to the start date of your trip, so that's why we have to enter these manually. We cannot pull them automatically. And once you enter that, you can proceed to enter the ratings of that hotel, including the website, and you can insert the links or even just hyperlink using Control K or Command K if you're using a MacBook. Then you can go on and tick off any amenities that are available at that hotel, in case you'll be sharing this with someone else, or in case you'll need an easier time remembering. And you can even change the titles of the amenities themselves by simply clicking the titles and typing out the amenities that you think are important. Then finally, now we have the cost details, so we are going to go through this. Already we'll notice that once we entered the check-in and the checkout date, you'll see that the total number of nights automatically updated. Right now it reads 2, but if we extended this by a day, you'll notice that the number of nights changes to 3. Okay, so let's put it back to 2 as it was. So the total number of nights and any other column that is highlighted in this purple color, we should not touch. That will auto update by itself, just like this image column, which is also highlighted in the same color. So we go ahead and add the number of rooms. Okay, so assuming it's 2 rooms, okay, and it's probably 3 guests who will be using those 2 rooms, and each room per night costs $450. So once I've entered this and click enter, okay, you'll notice that everything else auto updates. Okay, so per person is 300, because if the room is 450 a night, okay, per room, and it's 2 rooms, that's 900 for both rooms for one night. So divide 900 by 3, it means for one night each person is required to contribute $300. Okay, and now the total number of nights that the people will be staying are 2. Okay, 2 nights, so 300 times 2, we get the total for one person for the entire stay now, not just for one night, which is 600. Okay, and for the total cost, you do the 600 times the total number of guests, and you get 1800, as you can see it here. Okay, or also you can also do cost per night, okay, which is 450, times the number of rooms times the number of nights. Okay, and you'll still get the total cost, will equate to the same thing. Now, for all the hotels that you enter on this tab and you have the total cost as the last column, those total costs are automatically updated in this total cell down here. So in case we had the next one probably was 1,000 and this is 1,800, this will read as 2,800. Okay, so this total cell again is the total of the entire hotels or accommodations that you'll be using on the trip, will again be transferred to the overview tab, just as the flight was. And we can see that now the cost has gone up again, okay, and the balance has reduced. And here in our chart, you'll see that the accommodation is now featured, okay. Now we have the accommodation updated and we have the flights updated. So that's how the accommodation tab works. And next we are going to move to the food and drinks tab. So this food and drinks tab is where we'll be adding information of any places that the travelers will be going to have meals and drinks, you know, places like restaurants and clubs and all that. And we'll start off by entering the image address, just like the previous accommodation tab, and the image of the place will appear in the next column here. You'll proceed to add the other details of the place, like the name, all that, to the link, which you can enter. You can just copy straightforward or hyperlink. Then you can proceed to add the reviews section, just to showcase what kind of reviews the place has, to determine if it's a good place or not. The amenities you can change again by simply editing the titles in here to whatever suits you or the people who are traveling, and simply just check off the check boxes for each, okay, to show that the place has those amenities or not. So there's a bonus section here that you can change to anything you think you'd need to capture for your trip. And finally, we have a total costs here. So for each place, you can add the total cost. So if a place you'll be eating at will cost 1,000 for probably you or the group, another place you'll be having drinks at will cost 500, you will notice that this total cell automatically updates with each total cost that you enter, okay. So if we do add another, you'll see it shifts to from 1,500 to 1,800, and now this total cost is captured in the overview tab here, okay. You'll notice that the costs has gone up, the balance has reduced from our budget of 10,000, and the chart now displays the food and drink section, okay. The amounts are in each slice or each section within this chart, and the percentage of the total budget. So food and drink now takes up 41% of the total budget that we had. So that's how the food and drinks tab works. So we'll move on to the others tab. So in this others tab is where you get to add information of anything else that you think is important in your trip. For example, if there are places you'll be visiting or parks, you can change this title to parks by simply clicking it and updating it, okay. The details of that place, you know, listing down the various places where you'll be going and their total cost. So if you'll be going to one park and you'll be spending 100 there, spending probably 200 in the next park, you'll see that the total for each grid will automatically update at the bottom. So if you'll be doing car rentals for two different, you know, car rental companies, you know, the total updates here. And again, when you go to the overview tab, now you will notice that they are part of the grid, okay, or part of the chart we had. Okay, we have car rentals, we have parks with the percentages and the total costs inside the sections. Again, the costs is continuing to auto update, okay, still going up as the balance keeps going down, okay. But now what if you needed to add more things, okay, or more items besides the two that have already been provided on this template? Okay, you just click this add button that we have here, okay. And once you do that, a new grid will be automatically created for you, okay. You can update the title, the subtitles, and once we do the cost again, let's say this is going to cost 50 and the next is going to cost 140, you can see that the total updates, okay. You can do that for as many grids as you want and it will work in the same concept. Just update the titles and the totals will automatically calculate, okay. So if we had this probably as ABC, okay, and we had this as XYZ, we'll leave this total cost as 0, okay. When we go back to our overview, cost has gone up, balance has gone down, okay. But when we come here, we can see ABC has been featured, but XYZ is not there, okay. So for any extra grid you add, but no information is provided and no total cost is present, you will notice that that will not be featured or captured in the chart, okay, and in the cost too, because it's a zero, okay, so that will not be captured in the chart. Okay, so any new grid that is added, if you need that captured for you in the overview section, you will need to update it completely, okay, and include the total costs too. Otherwise, there's no need to add a new grid then, okay, if you're going to leave it blank. Okay, so that's how the others tab works. So we'll move on to the daily planner now. So the daily planner tab, this is where we organize each and every day of the trip, day by day. Right now we have 3 grids, and each represents a specific day within that date range we had entered in the overview tab. So in the overview tab, we entered the start date as the 8th of February, end date as the 10th of February. And these same dates are translated to the last tab, which is actually an itinerary template. Okay, so first of all, we have the days that have already appeared. And in case we wanted to change the end date, maybe to just cover more days, we'll just go to the overview tab, and let's move from the 10th to the 11th. I'll just cancel this. So once I do that, you will notice that in the planner tab, now a new grid has appeared, and in the itinerary tab, same thing, a 4th day has appeared. In case we wanted to reduce that to fewer days than we initially had, we had 10th as the end date. Let's put 9th. Now you will see that in the daily planner tab, the grids now adjust to one just disappeared as we were switching to that tab. And in the itinerary tab, again, just 2 titles for each day. So let's map this out and see how it works. So I'll just revert this back to the 10th. Okay, so we are back to 3 grids again, and the itinerary is back to 3 date titles. So let's plan out each day hypothetically. So assuming in the first day you have a 10 a.m. flight that will probably arrive where you're going to at 11 a.m. You just enter the time there, and you'll notice that whatever time format you use, it will reformat that into something more better. I think this is better looking. Then once you select a category of what you'll be doing, okay, you can just simply pick from the drop downs that are already there, and once you click on anything or on any of them, you'll see that the entire row of that grid becomes color coded. So in here, maybe you can put in a flight number just to help you retrieve all this information quick. And in here, maybe you can have the confirmation number of your ticket, just like that. Okay, second thing, maybe after you arrive to where you're traveling to, you'll need to probably check in. Let's put that as from 11 a.m. to midday. This can go under the accommodation category. Maybe you can have check-in and details. Maybe you can have the room number. So the activity and the details or links, these 2 columns are just to enter a few more details that will help you know what you'll be doing in that specific time. On the second day, maybe you decide to start your day at 11 a.m. To 12 p.m. Where maybe you'll want to go to lunch somewhere, okay, and if you've already made reservations, you can like put in your reservation number here. Then maybe after lunch, you'll need to catch some drinks, maybe with friends. Okay, it's just you planning out your day. You can put in maybe the hotel name where you'll be having the drinks, and probably any other details that you'd like, or a link to that specific hotel, and just hyperlink it in there. Now on the third day, let's say you'll want to start your day at 11:30 a.m. Just for a quick swim. Okay, you can put that under the category of leisure. You'll notice how each category has a different color. Okay, swimming, maybe the details can be just quick swim, though it's not mandatory for you to have both. You can put in either, it's still fine, and the sheet will accept it. So let me even just delete quick swim. Then after that, maybe you have your flight from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. your flight back now. Okay, so maybe you can just revert that back to time. Okay, this is your return flight, and maybe again confirmation number in here. So once you're done planning out your day, you'll notice that everything you've entered will immediately be reflected in the itinerary template. Okay, this is something that later on we'll see how can be sent maybe to other people and be shared with those you're going on a trip with. But as for now, you can see that it is already updated, and we have all the 3 days and everything we'd entered, the details, the activity, the category, and the time range that we had entered. So right now we are good to go with our itinerary. But in case we needed to send something that's better looking like this template now to people, you can easily just enter a title here, maybe Miami vacation as we had it initially, itinerary, probably put in a destination here, just write Miami. Okay, you can put an image here, anything that you think is lovely, again through the insert option, image, then insert image over cells. And now that this is done, let's see what we can do. When we come up here to this custom itinerary actions button that we have, there are a couple of things that you could do to stay more organized. So when you click on it, first of all, you can send this itinerary template out to people. So before I do, this is the Terniqo Gmail. Okay, the inbox is empty, as you can see. That's terniqogmail@gmail.com. So let's assume we're sending it out to someone at gmail.com. So if it is one person, just enter the email and press OK. If it is multiple people, you can enter their emails, each separated by commas. So if we had like a Terniqo2@gmail, that's a different person, we'd add it that way. But as for now, we are just sending it to one person. Okay, so once I press OK, there we go. You will notice that in the inbox, here we go, we have an email that reads the title we had entered, Miami vacation and itinerary. And when we open it, find the words hi, please find the itinerary attached, then the itinerary name we had entered, and we get the actual itinerary itself in PDF format, okay, sent out to the email we had. Okay, so another thing you'll notice is that I did have a travel planner, okay, folder, and inside it there's an itineraries folder. Okay, so that same itinerary was automatically saved in there, as you can see. So if I did send it again, we already have that one in there that came. So just to prove that that folder was empty before we entered, we sent it out, we're just going to do another run again, terniqo@gmail.com. Okay, success, sent and saved to drive. So now you'll see the second email has come in. There we go. So the first email, this is the second one that just came in now. And in our folder now there's two. Okay, one just came in a minute after, which is the new one, and again it's the same PDF itinerary. Okay, so what is another thing that we can do to help us stay more organized? We've seen that we can send it out via email, have it saved somewhere in our drive. Okay, and just to note, if you needed to set up a folder, if you were to use this tool and needed to set up a folder to which the PDF itineraries are saved, you'd have to come up here to extensions, then app scripts. Okay, then when you come to app scripts, you find this script called send itinerary. Okay, and when you click on it, you will see a drive folder ID, this line here, and what you need to change is simply to replace this line, the numbers in here, this code. Okay, do not touch the quotation marks after and before this code. Just select this code and replace it with your folder ID. So the folder ID for this folder where the itineraries are currently being saved to is this long number after the last slash. Okay, so it's folders slash then the folder ID. So this is what you'd copy and paste here, and automatically when you send out the itinerary, it will be saved in that drive folder as PDF. So something else that you can do, because we already have our day planned out, we have the itinerary template updated, we've sent it via email and saved it to Drive. Now we can put up these events also on our calendar. Okay, if a person uses their calendar much, right now you can see that the dates we selected, 8th to the 10th, is empty. Okay, but when I came and hit now the second button, update calendar, let's just see what we'll get. Okay, you will get this notification, calendar sync complete. And now when we go back to our calendar, we can see that the days have been updated. Okay, they were still coming in. So all the events have already been updated now, as we had entered them 2 per day in the daily planner tab. Okay, you have the events titled as the category, okay, and now the activity or the details or link. And assuming we were to maybe make changes to our daily planner where we are planning our days, probably we notice that our flight now leaves at 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Okay, now you'll notice that right before we had it at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., but we've now changed this to 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., but the calendar has not updated. So we'd need to come back here, update calendar. Once you get calendar sync complete and go to the calendar, there we go, it's moved. Okay, it's moved to the new time we've set it. So any changes we make on the daily planner will automatically be reflected in your calendar once you click the update calendar button, and also in this itinerary tab. Okay, because you can see here the time has changed also from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. It's now 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. for the return flight. So that is how this entire tool works. It is a very handy and effective tool when it comes to planning any kind of trip to any destination over any duration of time. And you can get this tool through the link down in the description of this video, or by visiting the Terniqo website on www.terniqo.org. That's www.terniqo.org. Thank you very much, and I hope this helps you all. See you in the next one.